So it is the 11th of December today, and I am a terrible vlogger. This is the first time I'm updating this month. Not ideal. I think what happened was that last month when I was doing a vlog every week, I think I kind of burnt myself out a bit, because when I was doing the monthly vlogs before, I'd do maybe 2 or 3 updates a week at max, and I was updating most days. So I think I needed a bit of a break from putting my face on the camera. To get you a little bit up to speed with what's happened in the last week and a half. Closer to 2 weeks, I think, actually, since I updated. So I didn't update the last couple of days in November. So this month I am reading through some old standalone books that I wrote. I keep calling them standalone books, but they were basically a duology that was probably going to become a trilogy if I'd worked hard enough at it, and to try and see if I can make it work in the Space Pirates world so that it can be a kind of standalone option that I could potentially go out with before the series. I also apologise for the shaking. I cannot find my selfie stick. I'm using my hand to hold the camera rather than my selfie stick, and it's my lunch break. I haven't got a huge amount of time to update you before I gotta go back, so we're just gonna deal with the shakes. So I'm reading through both of those this month, and because they're both NaNoWriMos, they're both just slightly over 50,000 words. So that gives me about 100,000 words, and then I'm making notes as I go through, with the hopes of writing about 3,000 words worth of notes for each book, so I can get another 6,000. I was expecting one of the read-throughs to take me the first 2 weeks of the month, and then the next one to finish me off, because what I've done is deliberately not planned anything in the last week of the year, so that I can do all the kind of Christmas stuff that I want to do, but also take some time for myself where I'm not planning in, even if it is the only week this year that I've not planned in a bunch of stuff to do, which I'm pretty sure it is. I was planning for the first book to take the first 2 weeks. I finished it Wednesday, so that's about a week and a half, and I've started on the second one. So my thinking now is potentially I might be able to read through both of them in the first 3 weeks, and maybe start doing like some brainstorming outliney things on the 4th week. So that when I come to write this much later on in my plan, I'll have an idea of where I wanted everything to go. But in terms of making this work in the Space Pirates world, it's kind of interesting. In the world of my standalone, there is magic, but it's completely different magic systems from what Space Pirates has, because it was written to be completely separate from Space Pirates, so it was intentionally not having the same magic system. And there are some of the powers that were in the first book that I think I could link up, and in fact I think I said this in one of my previous vlogs. I took a power from that book and put it into Space Pirates world, so I'm essentially trying to link the two that way. And from what I've read so far of the second book that I'm reading through, that one could make a lot of sense. I could make that work really quickly. The other one's going to take a little bit longer, because in the other one there are more elemental magics than I have in Space Pirates. The concept of this book essentially is that there are people who are born magical and there are people who are not born magical, and at some point there essentially is a magical rollout where everyone who is born not magical has magic transferred to them. So it's the idea that the government has to essentially have as much of a level playing field as possible, and then also to upskill a lot of the non-magical people so that they can start essentially having jobs that require magic, and things can get done a lot quicker, and it has a lot of benefits for them. But there was a group of people who essentially refused to do this and kind of protest against it. So essentially the book is a girl who was born non-magical and ends up basically going into hiding, trying to run away from this concept of being made magical, and how the power, when it's inserted into someone who's non-magical, changes them and what it does to them, and how society has changed around that. I think it's a really interesting concept. The problem is that concept is the book, and with the Space Pirates world, the vast majority of magics are inherently, you're born with them, but they're very difficult to transfer, and that is actually a plot point in my series about how difficult it is to transfer those magics. Either this book would need to be set a significant period of time later than the Space Pirates book, when they'd got more technologically advanced and been able to put all the pieces together and work out a way to transfer the magic across so that they could do this. Or this needs to be a whole different society outside of my current boundary of the Empire, and the few sort of outskirts planets that I've been to in the books, and need to make it a significant distance away. But if I do that, then my current linking up of the power that I put in both books means that there's at least one common race that's that is very, very prominent in the Empire, but also seems to somehow have gotten to this planet outside the Empire, having a bit of a thunk. I was kind of hoping that I might be able to make this book be essentially before Space Pirates, so that I could make an attempt to release books in some kind of chronological order if this one gets picked up first, because of the standalone nature of it. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to have a bit of a think through. I also think I want to merge the two books into one and potentially make it multiple point of view, which I have done before, but what I haven't done in multiple point of view is written from the point of view of a man and a woman. Only ever written multiple points of views from multiple women's point of views. I don't think I've ever written a book where I'm writing in first person and it's a male protagonist. It would take a little bit of getting used to, I think. Could be an interesting challenge though. Could be an interesting one. It all comes down to whether or not I can merge the storylines of this book, because the second book was essentially more of a prequel than a sequel, and we were going back a bit and sort of going into one of the characters' childhoods and seeing how that developed up to where we were. So I could theoretically have the book start at the very beginning and work my way through, and then my other character in the first book, there was essentially a present and past timeline. We came into the book at a particular event and then we followed forward. We also went way back to the beginning of the sort of non-magical rollout and worked that forward in flashbacks. So I theoretically could make that a linear story and then do the other point of view character from the second book that I'm reading and run that alongside of it, as long as I've got enough scenes between the two of them, and as long as the pacing works. I wrote the first of these in 2016 and the sort of prequel second one in 2017, and I was expecting to reread these through and just be cringing the whole time, and there have definitely been some moments of cringe, but there are points that I've read through and I've gone, that line, whatever happens, that line needs to stay. There's some really great description things that I've put in, and I don't know if it's because the character has one or two traits that are really similar to me and then nothing else that's similar to me, but I've kind of got this little bit of an internal sass going on, and I think I'm a little bit worried that I'm missing writing in first person. I don't think you can get away with it as much in third. And I really don't want to go back through and make Space Pirates first person. There's a little part of me that kind of wants to. There's a little tiny part of me that's I would personally write it better, I think, with the internal stuff as first person, but the external stuff would suffer. Whereas at third person, I think I've got enough internal stuff that I can get away with it. But my external communications between the characters and the outside world would be a lot better in third. So I'm gonna have that little fight with myself. In terms of numbers and stuff, I've read the first book, so I've got 50,000 words under my belt, and I did just over 3,000 worth of notes for them. So we're looking at 53,000 for a week and a half's worth of work, which is making me a lot more secure in my plan to reread a bunch of stuff after I've drafted the books. It just depends on whether I can draft the next 4 books and then read them through. If I get burnt out before I finish drafting those 4 books, that'll be a bigger problem. But whatever happens, if I get to June and I'm panicking, I could just reread a bunch of stuff, make a load of notes, and it might not be ideal, but it might get me the million. I am really close to the 250,000, which is exciting. I need to get back to work, but it is a Friday, so we've got a big team meeting that we do. We're doing some Christmas stuff. Got my Christmas jumper on. Got little reindeers and things on it. Tonight, me and my partner on a Friday, we always put on a film, make some food and just sit and chill. And we're working our way through the Marvel films, so we're on the first Spider-Man. And then this weekend, I don't know how much I'll get done because I'm ahead of where I wanted to be. And I kind of don't want to push myself. I'm enjoying having a month of a little bit less to worry about, so I'm hoping to allow myself to be a bit more chill. However, on the note of not so chill, Taylor Swift has released her second album in 6 months. What? I might spend some of this weekend putting the Taylor Swift album on my nice speakers in the living room and sitting in the middle of the living room and just listening. I've listened to a few of them. I did a few this morning, but I kind of stopped and I thought, I want to experience this as a whole album, because I did that with the Folklore. When it came out, I didn't realise it came out, and it was a summer, and I took a chair out to like, we've got like a shared communally grass bit where we live. I took a chair out there and I just listened to it all the way through, and it was just the experience of that. And then like, you'll never get that first listen back again, so I kind of want to spend some real time on this one. As someone who did music production predominantly through her degree, I know how long it takes to go from a concept of a song through to a fully recorded and mixed and mastered track, let alone an album. Anyway, I'm going to spend some of this weekend gushing about her. So I don't know when I'll next update this, because I don't know if I will make myself do that much in the way of writing this weekend. Like I said, I'm enjoying the more chill vibe I am allowing myself before we kick into the new year goals in January. I might do a video where I go through my yearly goals for next year. I quite enjoy watching those videos, I don't know why, but okay, I do need to go back to work. It is January 2nd. December ran a little bit away from me. In terms of December as a whole, because I didn't do as much filming as I was hoping to, I thought I could do a little rundown today of where we were with it all. So the goal for December was to read through a couple of books that I had written a couple of years ago that were completely standalone from my Space Pirates world. They were going to be completely different, and see if I can find a way to kind of integrate the two. I managed to read through both of the books and also make some notes, and I started the process of re-outlining it, which was fun. I do think that I'll be able to make it work, which is kind of exciting. So the plan is going to be to spend some time re-outlining that, potentially throughout the next few months when I need a little bit of like a break from what I'm doing with Space Pirates, and that will give me another like solid outline, and then later on when I come to want to write it through I can do. So as I'm counting rereading words as part of my Milwordy goal, I thought I'd also give a very quick update on where that was at the end of the month. So for December I did 115,536 words, and I did that over and roughly 11 hours worth of work in December. That's pretty much all I did for writing in December. I took a break from a lot of my goals in December as well, and just tried to sort of recover a bit from the burnout that I was putting myself through, which was nice. And I was able to take some proper holiday days. So when it came to like Christmases and things, I could actually just sort of sit down and enjoy myself and not have to feel like I had to write. So what that means is at the end of December, I had just over 290,000. I'll put the actual number in this space here. Which means that during December, I hit my minimum goal for what I wanted for Milwordy, is that 250,000 that I was aiming for. And I did that within 110 days of starting the challenge. I think that is going to be my plan, to try and capture when I hit these particular goals, which means I'm roughly about a third of the way in, which does leave me behind. I am still behind. I'm about 40k behind what I should be at this point in the year, which is not ideal. But because of the rate that I read through those two books and how little time it actually took me to do that and to add the notes and to potentially start re-outlining stuff, I am really confident that come, I think it's April, maybe May, when I've finished writing the books 6, 7, 8 and 9 of Space Pirates and I read through them, I will get the rest of the words that I need, because I feel like I could probably do that fairly quickly, and then I can write up this other standalone idea, because for the project I was doing in December with the two different books, I'm merging that into one. So yeah, December was a strange month. I'm sure it was a strange month for a lot of people. Seeing off the end of this year, this shit year. It's been the first Christmas ever that I've not seen a member of my family like face to face in person. Usually I spend every Christmas where I'm at least seeing them on a certain day during the Christmas period. So that's been strange. It's the first New Year I've ever seen in without my close family as well. So it's been a very strange month. been a very strange month, but I took a bit more of a break from things. That did mean that I took more of a break from you because I also missed a week of upload. I think I missed 2 weeks of uploading actually. But I have planned out a bunch of new videos for 2021. I'm really excited about the kind of things I might put out there. So yeah, the plan for January is to write Space Pirates Book 6 and outline Book 7. And if I do get bored or I need a bit of a break, I will start outlining some of the standalone, which I'm gonna have to come up with a project name for, because just calling it the standalone isn't gonna work. And originally I called it Magic 1 and Magic 2, but I now have magic in everything I write, so that's not specific enough. So if nothing else, I can at least say that I have hit my minimum Milwordy 250,000 goal, which is kind of exciting. And then just need to carry on next few months, start getting the other books under my belt, and then I can start rereading through the whole series, which will be interesting. Do let me know down in the comments how your December went. Was it as weird a December as I have had? Did you manage to get any kind of rest in, or did you essentially overwork yourself through the time? Because I have definitely done that on other Decembers. And if you're also doing Milwordy, do let me know how you're getting on with that as well, because we're about a third of the way in, I think. Yeah. It's not terrifying at all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. That next year, it is next year.